now. Good evening, everyone who is joining this online session. In this online session, we will have an honorable guest speaker who will be sharing with you all about his experiences in studying in his career and his success. And you will also learn about some effective tips in learning online as well. I would like to say welcome to Mr. Strain Supiep. We are very happy to have you here. And Mr. Strain Supiep is a UC alumnus, and he is also a successful entrepreneur as well. And we have prepared some questions for our respectful guests. But if the audiences have any question, then you can drop your question in the live chat section. If you are live streaming through YouTube right now, and after that, when the interview session finish, we will pick some questions, and we will start our Q&A session, which will take about 15 minutes. So now I would like to say hello again to Mr. Strain Supiep. We are very glad to have you here. Could you introduce yourself a little bit to our audience?
Well, good morning, good evening, wherever you're tuning in. I'm very pleased to join with this UC group of talented students and faculty members. Thank you for inviting me. I came to UC in 2003 from Ratanaki province, and I finished my AA degree in 2005 and went straight into finishing my BA in 2006. I must say that coming from that area at that time, I was very lucky that I didn't have to go through, these difficult times. And I was always feeling supported by friends and teachers. And I must say that UC was the right place for me at that time. And it's still right now, UC always has in my heart some special place. So I thank you for having me. And I look forward to engaging with you more throughout the discussions today.
Thank you, Mr. Strain Supiep. Kim, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I think before we already start, but I think you forgot to mention like who we are today. So just a quick introduction for ourselves. So my name is Kian, and today I am going to be your moderator for this section. The same with my partner Petra. So it's very interesting to hear your story from how you come from a difficult situations and to be able to study at UC. So can you share us more about your learning experience at UC?
Sure, the learning experience I'll never forget. It's laid out a very strong foundation for me to go anywhere I wish to go. So remember in 2003 when UC launched its first academic program, it was one of the very first idea around using an American system, right? The credit system that allow you to take courses as you like, as long as you are capable in finishing and achieving good results. So at that time, I was very ambitious. I came from rural provinces, Ratanaki province. I really wanted to save a lot of time. So I took like 4 courses, 5 courses, sometimes 6 courses per semester. And I've spent every time I have, reading the assigned lectures and exploring this wonderful space, what was called the internet at that time, at the Internet UC Library Room, where it also stations with many, many type of books, from different literatures to business accountants and other international local journals. So it was really an amazing introduction for me to expose to a different type of learning, but into an American system of learning where it's allowed me to choose what I liked, but also to experience other subjects that I've never thought of. For example, philosophy, for example, psychology, for example, other foundation years. And that was for me an amazing experience. And I have to say it helped me step into a right foot, step into a right path that paved me the way to any places I've gone through. And that in particular experience was the career and the scholarship I went in overseas countries. And that's an amazing success I achieved. But all of these would have not been made possible without great support by the UC faculty members and friends, and the facilities at that time was very, very unique in laying out for me the right path and the right step that I set for my future.
Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Supiep. So I have heard that as listening to your answer, I feel like you must have gone through many hardships in your studies until you have reached success, right? So my next question is, what were the challenges that you encountered during that time at UC? Could you share with us about that?
Lovely. I thank you for asking that question. It's very important. And I know many of our students are coming from different part of the country, some from provinces. For me, I came from Ratanakri province. Phnom Penh was an alien country. It's very awkward. So many people, I was stuck, and then I don't know where to go. My first time, I rented a room across Tujungwa Bridge next to Sokha Hotel, and I biked on my bicycle every day to go to UC at the Independent Monument. The time was very tough, but that was a good experience of telling me how it is possible to achieve something that you have to put investment into it. The challenge I got to experience traveling across the river to different parts of the city and join UC was at the time a very premier university adopting an American system. How do I keep up with that? First, I discovered myself how to overcome those challenges that this is the capital city of Phnom Penh. It's my own city. I own it. It's my country, and I love it. I need to overcome the long distance of biking. That's not a big deal. But another challenge for me at UC at that time, because I wasn't grounded in a very good foundation year in my secondary school, I faced a lot of difficulty in reading literatures, materials. All were in English, right? UC at that time, English as a medium of instruction. So I had to really catch up a lot. But with the good material, with the support of our teachers and our friends, we were able, or I was able to really slowly keep up to speed and follow the lectures. And at that time, one of the very good classes that I took was what we call UC preparatory course that gives me a clear orientation of what is meant to be a college life student. And I follow that course very strictly, including how to read a book, how to do your paper, how to avoid plagiarisms, how to make friends, how to use the library. All of those were in very good tips that helped me overcome as a student, but also as somebody is coming from a very far away, not knowing a lot about the country capital and not knowing a lot about the people in the city. And that was for me, with all the thinking I was going through at that time, I have to win this. I have to overcome this. And the reason that I had so strong feeling because there were a good network of friends and faculty members at UC that guided me throughout the process. And I was always feeling very grateful and still feeling very gratitude to the foundation that faculty members and friends at UC helped me overcome those challenges.
Okay, thank you, boy. That is such a motivative to hear about your story of how you put your hard work into to make something happen. So, Bon, could you? I think after your academic study, could you share with us experience working with USAID?
Okay, that's a good question. So the place I am working right now is at the U.S. Agency for International Development. It is one of the biggest units under the U.S. Embassy here in Phnom Penh. And my experience so far has been so lucky to be able to work with different diplomats, with different Cambodian outstanding professionals, speaking the same language, English as a medium of communications, but with so many people coming from different backgrounds and even culture, even belief, even ways of life. So for me, something that is beneficial for me because I was introduced at the very early age at UC about the American concept, about the American system. I was introduced to different American literatures, and that wasn't quite difficult for me to get around with some of American colleagues and Cambodian friends because I knew I was grounded in something that is useful. And when I came to USAID, that notions of working in different cultures, respect for diversity, respect one's own opinion, and working together as a team were the very principles that I learned from UC. So it's really, I can't believe that what I learned 12, 15 years ago are still applicable in today's working environment, is to be able to connect with people and to be able to listen to their stories and how do we make their stories be a part of our working culture. And that's, for me, it's a phenomenon. As a student, we never can underestimate the power of diversity and the power of human connections. And that's what I was taught at the very early class at UC.
Well, thank you so much, Bong, for sharing us your answer. So, your experience working with USAID is that you have met many people from different backgrounds, right? So I believe that it must have been hard for you to adjust somehow. So, what are some major challenges that you have gone through in your working environment so far?
I think one of the difficulties or the challenges I face would be how do I balance myself in an environment that is so diverse. I think the diversity of people is a bonus point, but in order to appreciate the diversity of that groups of people, you need to be able to engage and be able to value that diversity, right? Sometimes I thought myself I know enough about people because I've seen so many Americans from different states, from different cultures. But then the next year, I found out that there are so many other new faces that I've never talked to before. And sometimes I'm speaking or working with colleagues in other countries, in other part of the world, which is required me to have another level of patience, another level of open-minded to be able to appreciate, to be able to listen to their stories, to where they're coming from, and how I use that story to benefit my work. So that is really one of the good things about working in a diverse environment is you got the chance to listen to many perspectives. But then you also have to balance those perspectives because some of those perspectives sometimes may not be aligning with yours, but you still have to listen because every idea is worth thinking, right? And that was for me a challenge, but also an opportunity for me to use that idea and help me grow every time I put into a new assignment or a new task.
Yes, thank you, Bong. That really interesting. So the next question, Bong. I think if you have to point out one thing, what would be your greatest achievement so far?
Well, I think one of the greatest achievements so far has nothing to do with the College of Management, but it's something that I think the College of Management helped me as a student was to be able to connect people and understand the diversities of our customers, right? I'm sure you will talk about the business model, the core businesses, the concept of customers, the concept of diversity in customer viewpoint, and how can you help satisfy the customer needs and demands. So for me, has been the most amazing achievements I made is to be able to work in my area and get deep into something that I like to call it in my own office is through the gender integrations approach. An idea that in your development programs, in order for us to be sustainable, you have to look from a gender lens. The same thing with a business model. In order for your marketing, for your customers satisfaction, you need to understand different type of customers, whether women, men, or other customers' perspective. And that is the greatest achievement I made is to be able to work with my colleagues, implement programs that benefits different type of Cambodian people, women, men, girl, boy, indigenous people, people with different sexual orientation and gender identity. Often we hear about LGBTI people and other people that are so vulnerable to shocks and stress, that are harmful to the environment. So that is really the greatest achievement. I'm so happy to be able to change their life, improve their livelihoods, and be a part of the development journey that we together can achieve greater if we bring everyone who are vulnerable to the next level of livelihoods, the next level of career, the next level of educations, the next level of health improvement, if you like. This is something I'm so pleased with my work. And I'm hoping that I will continue to work more in that area.
Wow, thank you so much, Wong, for sharing with us. So that was such an inspirational, perspective and inspirational answer. So I believe that you have mentioned the some of the projects or approach or programs that you have implemented in order to meet the needs of different people, like people with different sexual orientations or people with, mental health problem like anxiety or stress. So you have such great achievements. My question is that why do you believe that they are your greatest achievements?
Mhm. I think that's very important questions. I think number one, something that I like all of us to take into our heart is to own something, whether your studies, whether your task, whether your assignments, you have to own it and you have to believe in it, right? Without that, it's very difficult to move further. If you own it and you believe in it, you can move everything, whether a small rock or the mountain, right? So in my achievements, I believe in very fundamental principle that sustainable development cannot be achieved if we do not make sure that the people who are vulnerable, indigenous people, people with different ethnicity, people with LGBTI sexual orientation and sexual orientation and gender identity, those people are often the most vulnerable, right? And the way I think that these are great achievements, because at least in the past 6 7 years, I've seen some of my work have lifted them up out of poverty, have helped them improve access to other services. Of course, it's not all about me, but at least part of my work in working with everyone else in my office, we've been able to achieve some great progress. And I'm so pleased as somebody who grew up in the poverty, who grew up without food to eat, who grew up without shelter to sleep. When I've seen my work has helped people put roof into their house, put food into their mouth, brought them into hospital, respected LGBTI rights and their dignity, I think you and I should deserve a great appreciations in the type of work that we're working together. And that is something I'm proud. I'm proud of myself and I'm proud of my colleagues that we are together making such great progress in this country.
Thank you so much, Wong, for the answer. And another thing that is interesting about you is of how you success in your career, like you stepping from one step to another step. So the next question is, what are the factors that have you become more successful in your career?
This is another very brilliant question. Thank you for that. I think there are many factors, but one of the factors that I think is relevant to you and I is to have a very clear plan at the very beginning of your career or at the very beginning of your studies. Now, the plan isn't fixed in stone that when you set it up, it's there. You have to give yourself some level of flexibility. But to be honest with you, you having your own initial plan in place will give you a direction of what and where you want to go. For me, when I first came to UC, I set my own goal. I'm going to spend 2 years, then I go back home or reevaluate if I want to continue. I finished my 2 years. I said my plan is to continue to do my BA. I thought, okay, after I finish my BA, I will go back to my province and do some community projects and then continue. And I set that plan every step before I go. And I think that has been a good practice, whether in class or in real life. Having a plan in place is giving you an opportunity to know where you're going and whether you're achieving your goal or not. And I'll never forget in many of the classes I attend at UC, whether in business class or in other leadership classes, and I'm sure one of the phrases that Gina told me, without a plan is a plan to fail. And that is still true in my life. I like to think about what I want to do and look on a time to time basis, see where I am in that planning. Do I need to change? And if I need to change, let's see what the type of changes I can change. And that is how we can assure that we are on the right path.
Well, thank you, Bon. That was such an inspirational answer. I believe that clear plan should be implemented in order, to be successful. And I really like one of your statement that says, "Without a plan is a plan to fail." I think that it is really true because if you don't plan, then your project or your life will not be able to move smoothly and successfully. Thank you, Bon, for that. So I would like to go to another question, and this is somehow related to our current situation today. As we all know that we are now in, facing a pandemic, COVID-19. So all schools and all working place are closed, and we have to study online and we have to work online. So I believe that it is no different for you as well. So I was just wondering how your working life is during this pandemic. Could you share with us any difficulties that you are going through right now?
Thank you for the question. I'm working with the US Embassy. I have to say I've been very lucky. I got all the support I need, whether computer, whether internet access, whether flexibilities of my working schedules, whether from 7 in the morning to 4 or from 8 to 3 or from 6 to 3 or to 2, the level of flexibility I have has been a great bonus as an employee. The challenge I think I am facing, and like some of us, is the constant interactions that we used to have with people is now cut off. In the past, you can walk to your friends desk or your friend's cubicle, say, hey, hello, would you like to go for a coffee or a tea? Right now you don't have that privilege. You have to text them and you wait for them, and you can't meet them because the social distancing. You can't go and see them because we are so different from one another. So the human interaction, the real life, is sort of limited. That is a little bit stressful for some, and sometimes for me too, because I'm a little bit outgoing. I like to see people in real face. So that is one of the challenges I face. Another challenge that I think you and I we often face is to be able to um, uh, utilize the online system for our own purposes. We know we are connected to an internet, a platform that is so much equipped with resources. And sometimes you say, okay, I'm working, I'm only going to listen to one song, and then I'm going to go on. But it's turned out you play on one of your favorite song, you like to go on another one, you like to go on another one. So the opportunity for you to go online is so diverse, and sometimes you can lose track. And that's why I like to go back to my initial thinking is have planned every day. Today I'm going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, right? And that's give me an opportunity to look every time. If I want to go onto YouTube for one more song, I say, I still have one more thing to go. Let me finish this, then I go to my favorite song, right? And that is a trade-off. You got an obligation to do it. You got to do it because that is your commitment. Is it where you're giving the task? The same thing as a student, right? You got homework to read, you got paper to write. Before you step out of those papers and assignments, make sure you are good shape, or otherwise, Tina may not be very happy with you. Believe me.
Okay, thank you for this interesting answer. And yes, we all have a difficult time during this circumstance. So I would like to move to the next questions. And as we already know, because of the pandemic, students have no choice but to attend online class. So therefore, I would like to hear your points of view on this questions of what do you think are the challenges that limit the effectiveness of online learning?
Mhm. Well, I think that two ways if you can look at it. One is from the students' um, adaptive management or the students' flexibility to be able to go to online and stay focused. Number two is the abrupt change in teaching methodology that our teachers have to change. Not many professors, I think Cambodia is not unique. I have a lot of friends and a lot of professors, even in the US, even in the Great Britain, found it very difficult to switch from physical class to a virtual online class because they're not ready, right? The ability to convey message is also sometimes you have no control. That is how difficult it is. For our students, for me, I'm also sometimes doing an online classes with some other friends, with some other colleagues. The challenge I face is that how do I make sure that I have the good connection in internet? That is a simple challenge that you need to address. If you don't have internet connections, sorry, it would be very difficult to do it. So I have to say to our friends and our colleagues, if you do not have a good internet connections, find somebody who can help you with internet connections, whether your classmates, whether your internet hotspots where give you connections to the online classes, that would give you a time to get into other opportunity if you want to get into it. But the really challenge that I think that we often forget is the concentration of us as a student within an online world. Of course, you have the flexibility. You can attend whatever, whenever time you can, if you are not attending with your professors. and only if you're attending an online class, a course that is in a database, right? You can attend whatever you do, but the amount of attention is required than the amount of attention that is required in class, and that is sometimes we as a human being get distracted. And the only way to make sure that we continue to learn is again to go back to our own obligation as a student, go and commit at a certain amount of time for your online classes before you go and have fun. Fun should be fun, but learning can also be fun, right? If you set your goal and you achieve your online classes, you treat yourself an ice cream, that's an amazing, right? If you finish your class, you call to your friends, hello, my friend, I finished my classes. Well, how about you? Is there anything I can help you? Maybe I can share hotspot with you so that you can learn something. You know, this is really, again, an opportunity for us to try new things, but also an opportunity for us to test ourselves and to be kind to one another. You know, that I think that is a moral obligation as a student and as a human being is to help somebody who don't have the same level of access like us. And so I said to all our friends here, if you got your classmates who are struggling in learning online class, reach out to them and help them. The only way that we can go and achieve our great potential is to be able to bring your friends along. If your friends fail, that's not good. You have to make sure that they will be successful the same way like you. And that is the beauty of our life as a human being. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bong, for your answer. I believe that your answer is I can totally relate to some of your answers. For example, like the flexibility, the demand that we have to focus not just 100%, but maybe more than even more than 100%, more than what we did in physical class when it comes to online class. And I believe that some of your tips in order to learn effectively is also great as well. And my next question is that
Can I just make one point before you go to the next question? Is it okay?
yeah, sure, well, that's okay.
I think another point that I should really have to mention is that the amount of work at home, you know, whether cooking, washing, cleaning, you know, I'm sure you and I will have many times bring our plates to the sink and wash them. Sometimes we have to help our parents cook rice, clean vegetables, fry eggs, fry pork, clean your home, whatever. These are the tasks that sometimes we missed. But when we're at home, we can't just sit and relax and let our parents do the cleaning and the washing, or let our friends, our sister and brother do everything for us, right? We will help them. And that is the beauty that we often forget working from home, whether working from your room, we have other level of love. It's the love we give to our loved ones at home. And that is a lot of work, I have to be honest with you. And I'm sure right after this, you will also realize that if you spend some time helping your siblings at home, that will mean a lot.
Wow, thank you so much, Bon. That is very inspirational. So regarding online
Petra,
learning, yes.
Petra, sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to remind to our online audience is that we have a few more questions before we finish this section. So if you have any question or any comment, please leave it to the live section if you have any. Thank you, Petra. You can go on.
Okay, so I will continue with the question. So I believe that like just like you have mentioned, the situation is quite abrupt. So it demands a lot of changes in terms of teaching and learning in general. So students, of course, other students and I myself included find it really difficult to learn online. So, do you have any tips in order to, help us effectively learn through online classes?
That's a really good question. I have to be honest. I'm not sure if my tips are applicable to yours, but I think one of the tips I've been using a lot while doing online is to have a series of my handover notes. For example, I have my notes where I write down some of the key learning points I attended every time, or the key learning points I read every time from my lectures or from my work reports. Sometimes we think I have everything in my computer. I don't need to take notes. I have everything in my computer. I don't need even to remember what page number is that. But what if your computer is down? What if you can't access to your internet connection? What if your file are not working, right? So one of my single tips for you all and for me is to be able to have a handy note at hand while you capturing and while you're learning some good points. Make sure you write down in your notes, because writing down isn't just writing down to remember, but it's really processing your mind, your brain. It helps you it helps you to process in the later stage when you go on and be another higher level student or another level of professional, because it really helps you. So a good way to do it, make sure you maintain a handy note with you. Number two, this is important. Stay connected with your friends. It's beautiful to be online. It's beautiful to be accessing to Google and anything you want in Google, but they do not replace the human connections. You should be able to spend some time calling to your friends, asking them some questions that you have, or sharing them some observations you have, because that's the only way where you can build on learning online to another level of learning that is human to human connections, and that where you find commonality, where you find some differences in the way you observe from your learning. Number three, always make sure you keep your supervisor and your teachers updated. You're in your own class for 2 weeks straight. As a teacher, I don't hear from you. I'm worried that what's going on to my students. I'm sure Gina feels the same, right? So you should be able to keep your teachers informed of the progress you made, whether reading materials or whether homework or whether asking them questions. Hey, dear Gina, I have finished this reading. I have a couple of questions. I hope you can help me clarify them. Here are the questions. Gina will be so happy to receive your questions and respond. That is really the beauty of an online, because it allows you to learn by your own speed, but only you can make extra speeds to make that online tool become really useful. Again, let me repeat, these are my 3 tips for you. Have a handy note ready by you. Make sure you take notes of the important key point you learn, because you don't know when the internet is going to be down. Your laptop might be down, your file might not be working right. Number 2, make sure you talk to your friends, your peers. They have similarity of your perspective. Share with them what you learn and talk to them about what you learn and ask them questions. Number 3, make sure you keep your teachers and your supervisors informed, because they're the ones who keep thinking every day about you. Oh my God, what happened to my students? Are they doing okay with their classes? So send them an email if you have questions. They will be so happy to respond. I believe, I don't know other, but Gina, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bong, for the very useful tips from you, especially as a student from the Tony Fernandez School of Business. This is a very good tips for us. So the next question, I think we have some kind of a negative view toward the online learning, like there are so many difficulty, they are not effective. So let's just put that aside and let's focus on the bright side. So what do you think are the benefits of online learning, or what student can gain from online learning?
Well, I think that's a very the one of the points I spoke earlier. It allows us to learn at our own speed, right? So, for example, if you're attending an online class that is stored in a database, for example, it's a YouTube, right? You can pause, you can go back, you can pause, you can go back. You don't hear very well, you can put subtitle on, you can see the subtitles, you can pause and go back, you can always manage your time. That is the beauty of an online class that we don't have prior to YouTube, right? You always like, I can't get what she say. What does it mean? You know. But right now with an online class, you can go back and pause and even take note of what that means. That is a brilliant opportunity. You and I, we have a different level of English. We don't have the same speed, the way we speak, the same accent. And sometimes when you have a tool where you can pause, teacher, pause, and then you say, okay, what does that mean? Let me think about it. Then you can actually slowly learn better, right? That is one benefit of an online class. Number two, you can learn anywhere you want. It doesn't have to be attendance in your business school attendance sheet, right? You can plug in your earphone, you can bike, listen to the lecture, you can still process, you can get the benefits of that. I know there's different people with different style of learning, but I find myself very beneficial when I go jogging with a lecture on my headphones, jogging around the place, and at least remember a few points, come back, write them down. So flexibility is another bonus. Number two, it's cheap or it's almost free, right? Right now, you can attend online class from Harvard, from MIT, from Dartmouth, from Cornell, from UCLA, anywhere in the world. It's almost free or it's free. What you need to do is internet access. So the beauty of knowledge is so diverse, so big that you can't imagine that you're having access to it. But take benefit of that because this is the world we live in. Internet is going to be much more important right now than in the future than right now. So make sure we utilize them the best possible and to the best that benefits our knowledge.
Um, Thank you so much for sharing us the benefits of online learning. I believe that after listening to you sharing us all those benefits, we are. I myself feel more motivated to learn online now, but sadly, this has come like almost to the end of our interview session. So, for the last question, do you have anything to say to our audience who are watching through the YouTube live stream right now?
Well, really, you know what I'd like to say to our audience here? I think we are a lot luckier than many other students in our time. Imagine those people in the northeast, in the southwest, in Mandalkiri, in Preve here, who live in a village that do not have access to internet. They don't have the same opportunities like us. So I think I would like us to pause a little bit, think of that opportunity that gives to us, and we should use the opportunity to the benefits of our knowledge and of humankind. And that is to learn, to connect, and to share, right? And I hope that at the end of these sections, you will reach out to your friends, you will speak to your teachers about the questions you have, you will finish your reading materials, and you will stay motivated in using internet as another alternative platform for your learning. Because I'm saying this is that you can get easily be distracted. Do not let that distraction derail your goal. In other words, do not let that distraction destroy your career, destroy your academic life. Be focused, have a plan in place, and make some flexibility in those plans so that you can move around a little bit if you have to step back and front and forth. My final words for all of you, I want to make sure that you access to me, or you can ask me any follow-up questions to Pain, to Petra, and to teacher Gina if you have any follow-up questions. But my final word for you, I want you to stay healthy, and I hope you are staying healthy, and I hope you are taking opportunity to reflect and learn from one another. And I wish you all the best. And I look forward to having any questions if you have.
Thank you so much, Paul. So thank you for sharing with us many inspirational tips regarding your experiences in learning in general, as well as your success and your tips in effective online learning as well. So this has come to the end of our interview session. However, we still have one more session left, which is the Q&A session. And this will take around 15 minutes. So we will pick up some of the questions that the audience have from the live chat section. So for the audience, if you have any questions, you can drop your question in the live chat.
Yes. Like, please give us some time. We are viewing some of your question right now. Okay, I think we have.
Yeah. There's one question from Ricardo. King, could you read the question?
Okay, so we have a question from Ricardo. Thank you. The question is, how could you please what we as university students should do during our academic life in order to be able coping with challenges that we will face in working situation?
Can you repeat the first part? I missed the first part, please.
The question is, could you please share your insight, like your view on what we as the university student should do during the our academic life in order us to coping with challenge that we will face in, for example, like after we graduating, so we will start working. So what should we prepare for that?
That's a brilliant question. I used to have that question as well when I was attending UC, or when I'm still right now asking myself all the questions, about the very similar type of question that you are having. I think again, I like to go back to our original concept about having a clear pathway to your career or to your study goals, whether you want to finish your business management, or you want to finish your BA, you go on to a master's degree, or you want to finish your BA and go on and get to a career, right? So having that clear goal set, or at least some preliminary draft about what you want to do. Let me be honest, sometimes we do not know what we want to do, right? I don't know what I like to do like 12 years ago, but I know I wanted to finish my BA and exposed to other ideas. So if you're not sure what you like to do, exposed to different concepts of learning, different opportunities or issues that are either challenging or either good stories that can help you move on to the next level. But if you have a good plan in place, let be sure that you will be facing with a lot of challenges. Do not stuck with those challenges. Whether you and I, anybody in this world will always face challenges. Take those challenges as opportunities for you to grow. Remember these. Without challenges, without being put in a difficult situation, you are not learning that great. And that's why sometimes you have to feel like you are so grateful that our teachers give us difficult homework. I mean, to be honest with you, difficult homework, difficult assignment, difficult reading materials, they are meant to help us. Because in real life, they are much, much more difficult than that. So do not feel like you're stuck if you're facing challenges. But remember this, you have a goal that you need to finish, or you have two goals or three goals that you need to finish. If you're stuck, do not stuck. Get up and go on. The moment that you stop feeling like you're stuck, you still have chances. What I'm saying is that the moment that you believe that you have the capability, the strength to go on, go on. Do not go back. And that is my promise to myself. When I set a foot at UC, I said I'm gonna finish my AA. I'm not going back be in a difficult situations. I know the education that I'm about to receive will help me improve my life. So stick to the goal that you have some flexibility, of course, but do not feel down if you face challenges. I don't know what type of challenges that you're facing. I mean, you and I, we do not predict and we can't predict the challenges, but know this, that they will be coming and you have to always stand ready to overcome those challenges. Take them one at a time. Don't take all of them at one place. You will be overburdened. Step by step, you will make it. And this is my advice to you. Take it step by step. Okay? That's all I can have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wong, for your answer. I believe that it is very insightful, and I really like your statement that uh, we should tell ourselves that we have a goal to finish and we should not stop. Um, I hope that this answer Ricardo question, and thank you, Ricardo, for for leaving your question in the comment section. We also have another question from Makarachi. So the question is, which do you think is harder now between working and studying during this pandemic situation?
I love this question. I love this question. Thank you, Matt Garad. This is really fantastic questions. You know, it all brings down to the choices you are making. And I know a lot of people losing their job. I mean, in Cambodia in particular, a lot of garment factory workers are losing their job. In other part of the world, in the US or in Great Britain or in Europe, people are losing their job. So in terms of balancing a career and study, you know, I have to ask ourselves, what do I want? Do I have the means to go on to my studies? In other words, if I choose to go on and make my study a top priority, do I have the things that I need to survive? You know, for example, can I still support my family if I go on and study without working? Or if I work without studying, would that disturb my career goal? For example, if you want to be if you want to get a good scholarship, say to the UK or to Europe or to Canada, you may still want to make sure that you improve your English, that you make sure that you have a good GPA. This will not stop you, right? But if you think like, well, I want to support my family, so I would want to get a job and then at the same time make my study part-time, that's fine too, as long as you know what you really want to do. I can't give you an answer, let's go and get a job, let's go and study, because each one has a different story, you know. Your story, I don't have a full picture of your story, but your story is only you can know yourself best. So choose which one you feel best. I mean, for me right now, I need to feed my family. So job security is very important. I have 2 kids and my wife. We all need food to eat. I need to make sure that I have food for them. But at the same time, I still want to learn. I take online classes. I engage with my friends, with my professors, so that I continue to build my knowledge. Do I mean to say that education is not important? No. What I'm saying is that you know yourself better, what condition you are in. So if you are in a family that has enough to cover yourself, your studies, and your food, your shelters, and you just want to go on and finish your master or your doctoral degree program, I said, good luck, go for it. That is your dream. And I have to say this, amazing that you are choosing that path, because knowledge is never dry. It's only dry when you stop learning. So if you have that passion to go further, go for it. But make sure you balance the obligations at home and at yourself as a student or as a family members. These are 2 fundamental obligations as a student and as a family member. You can't choose one of them. You have to choose both. And choosing both requires balancing a good amount of time. And only you can know what you choose, because only you knows what you like. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Mom. It is very inspirational. Knowledge is never dry. It is dry only when you stop learning. And also, I would like to say my thanks to Makara as well for leaving us a very good question. We have one last question from our audience here. It is from Udam Viesna Khan. The question is, do you think working from home and studying from home will be applicable post-pandemic?
Well, we already experiencing a lot of working from home and studying from home. Applicable or not applicable, that depends on many factors. Number one is how the school and the government of Cambodia adopting policies and regulations. We know that a lot of schools are closed because the government say that they have to close until say November, for example. So we can't really set a clear a timeline or clear whether learning from home or working from home are applicable post-pandemic. That choices has to be made by relevant university and government agencies to come together and decide. But what I can tell you is that in the future, learning will have no limitations that is only at the school. We already seen many advancements made in other countries that is online class, distant learning. And I think more in the future, the type of online class and the type of distant learning will be more, even more than now, because we are right now testing a lot of technology and tools. And people in the future will look back and say, wait a minute, during the COVID-19, I was able to learn online. Maybe right now I should take an online class without going to school, and I think this is an opportunity for universities who really innovating, who really thinking ahead of the game. This is an example to build an online platform that might be really useful for the future. The same thing for working. We always stick to one laptop, one computer. Right now, you can bring your laptop home, you can access the internet, you're done. So maybe in the future, the physical space for you to work is not an issue. You can work from anywhere, from a cafe or from your own bedroom. These are opportunities that I think will come in the future, but whether they're applicable or not will have to be depending on the employers and the government policy when it comes to schooling. That's all I have. Yeah. Over to you.
Thank you for your answer. We have two other questions from our
Sure.
audiences, actually. So, Kian, could you read the question from Mr. John Mick?
Yeah, sure. Sorry for the some internet connections over here. So we have a question from John Mick. He asked, do you have any practical tool to measure the effectiveness of online learning for a student?
Wow, that's a very tough question, John. I have to be honest with you. I'm not a teacher and I'm not an evaluator of students on learning. So it's a little bit difficult for me to say. But what I can say to you is tools that can measure employee performance. I think that might be of relevant to you in terms of when you go on and enter into a career where you have to work from home. So it's the same thing, say, with students. Our product are often transferred in the form of paper or presentation, right? And we get grades from that presentations. You know, a teacher read at your paper and say, that is plagiarism, that is a mistake, that is a grammar errors, and that is lacking argument. You know, you can actually look at that and evaluate your student performance. That I give you 2 weeks to do an online class and submit a paper, and I can't see that you demonstrate the learning from the online classes into your paper. That is another way of looking at students' performance. I'm speaking of, as I'm not a teacher, so I have no much knowledge about that. But in terms of work, we all have our duty to accomplish our work. And our duties are being evaluated by our own supervisor and by our own director, if you like, or our own boss, if you like, right? And the only type of assessment that you can be sure is to ask your supervisor, is to ask your teachers how I'm doing. Is my product good? Is my design acceptable? What else can I improve? Is my presentation PowerPoint slide looking good that somebody's going to like it? Is my flyer okay? Is my paper fine? Is there anything I can improve? The only way is actually to really be able to know yourself is to ask this type of question to your supervisor, to your director, to your teachers, to your peers, and have them be the mirror that reflect your knowledge. Because as I said again, I'm not a teacher, so I don't have the good knowledge for that. But as an employee, and sometimes I have my interns working for me, I give them my opinions or I give them my assessment based on the products that they give to me. And I ask them if they can refine or if they can improve. And when I see the revised product with great improvement, I feel confident that my interns, or at least I myself, I am learning something because my supervisor sees better improvement in my work. So that is my 2 cents for you.
Thank you, Wong, for sharing with us the some of your recommendation with regards to how to measure how effective online learning is. So we have another question from Vanna Sot, and he asked, "What do you expect from my generation that have to go through this pandemic?"
You know what? I think your generation is going to be making a lot of greater progress in the generations of mine and in my parents' generations. I have a lot of hope and a lot of confidence in the young generations. I don't know how old is he, but I believe his generation and Spectra and so King generations going to be bringing a lot of great advancement to this planet and to the people of Cambodia. Because number one, at your age, you're speaking great English. You're acquiring great knowledge from a very well-known university. You are interacting with me in an equal relationship of knowledge and experience. I can see that the capability, the skill that you're having in the future, in your generations, will be much, much, much more useful and greater than in my generation and my parents' generations. There will be a lot of advancement and breakthroughs with your knowledge, with your skill, with your education. And I have hope and confidence that those will be applied usefully and peacefully for this country and for the world. So I'm hopeful, and I look for your generations to making great progress for this planet. That is my hope, and I'm sure many people and your teacher, Gina, will be also looking for that great achievement when one day when you look back and see where and how you came from and how you achieve it.
Okay, thank you both for your question, and I hope our guest speaker have answered your question, Banasot. And I think since we have some time left, so let's just go on to the next question from Nuot Cheng Ing. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. So the question, can you provide any recommends for students who are facing with today's situation, like online class, and wish to drop their carry-on class?
Well, good questions. First of all, please do not drop. Please do not drop.
Yes.
This is my call for you. Perhaps we never met, but as a brother, as somebody who's gone through the same life journeys, I encourage you to go on. Please do not stop. In order to really overcome challenges or barriers that we're facing today, know that you're not alone. Myself, Petra, Kane, and many other students around the world, they are facing the same challenges. Might be a little bit different in terms of severity depending on where you're from. But as a student and as somebody who's trying to overcome this difficult time, you are not alone. And know this, that you have friends, you have your teachers, you have your great relationship with your parents and your neighbors. They will all be standing with you. The hope that I have in you and the hope that your teachers, your friends have in you is much more than you can imagine. So please have that confidence, have that hope in yourself, and let's know that you are not alone. You are not the only one that facing these challenges. There are many thousands of people, and they don't give up. So why you should give up? They don't say, "Oh, it's too much. I'm done." No, they said, "I'll go on. I will make it." Because this is nothing bigger than my life, nothing bigger than my goals. Your goal, whatever goals you have, is much greater and bigger than these challenges. You have to believe in that. And that is where I want you to promise to yourself and to your friends and to your family members and to your teachers that you will not give up. You will not give up, and I believe you. You will not give up, and you will become a great innovator, entrepreneur, scientist, whatever career you want to be in the future. You will make it, and I hope you will. I hope that you're listening, and I hope you take my advice as a Cambodian, as a Khmer people, that we do not give up simply because of these barriers, but we will continue and we will overcome this together. And this is nothing compared to the goal you have. You have plenty of more goals and opportunity that are much greater and bigger than this. So do not give up, please.
That was very inspirational. So please don't ever lose hope. Keep going. We are all going through this together, right? Thank you, Bon, for your answer, and also thank you, Chin A, for your question as well. That was a very good question. We also have another question from Cristiano Silva. Cristiano Silva da Costa. His question is, could you share with us how can we keep class atmosphere even if we are studying from home?
Lovely questions. My last class I attended several months ago. Was in Thailand, so I can give you also some examples of class atmospheres. And I think even those we are working from home, whether through Zoom or through Google Hangouts or through other platforms, feel it as if you are in that class together. Imagine we are going into this Zoom or this Hangout. I take it as much as I'm speaking to you face to face. So the only one of the opportunities that you can really feel the human connections is to create a platform where you allow everyone to interact with one another as a students or as a teachers. If you allow that opportunity for you to reach out to your teacher and to your students and to give it an open space for one another to reach out, that is the very fundamental, the same level of classes that we are having in our own respective universities. Number two is to create a platform that is kind and respectful, and that one opinion matters. In our classes, in our working environment, we should uphold the principle of respect and diversity in opinions. And that is where we create a mixture of views and viewpoints that can generate healthy learning debates. And let's also, us as a student or as a teacher, make sure that you have the same level of accessibility to one another. And that accessibility should be a key principle as an educator, because students will look into us, or as a peers, our friends will look into us, and we need to be able to create that level of flexibility and accessibility so that we can maintain the momentum and the type of human spirit that we are having in our classrooms. For example, if our colleagues want to jump in right now, they should be encouraged to jump in, right? Without having to wait for a long period of time. If you want to raise your hand, and you should be able to do so in different platforms. In Zoom or in other platforms, you can raise your hand and you can go ahead and share your opinions. The same thing with Google Hangouts or Google Meet. If you're in this together, you should be able to type on your question in the chat box and say, wait a minute, I want to ask you about this question. Can you clarify? And ask somebody who is reading and who is responding to your question, or as an educator or as a friend, we should be able to follow up with that question and say, wow, that's a wonderful question. Let me take an opportunity to provide my thinking on that question. So again, the online environment is different from in-class environment, but the accessibility and the human connection should be the same. And this is where you allow people opinions to be heard, and you make sure you maintain the neutrality, the respect for one another's views. Do not cut another off, do not remove another because you don't like them, but make sure you allow them to express their opinions and hear and listen to them as if you are in the same classroom. And this is the only ways where you allow a healthy idea, maybe different from yours, to be merged with yours and use it to something else that might be benefiting to your own knowledge and to your own arguments. So that is my comment for you. Make sure the platform is safe, make sure the platform is accessibility, and make sure everyone in there has the chance to say and to speak, to ask questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for this detailed answer. So I think you can do is to be try to be proactive in your class if you have any and share together. This is a class environment, so it's we still
I'm losing
this
you.
is from could you share
I think
can,
Sokyung is experiencing
can
some
you
difficulty in internet connection right now. So I will ask the question. So this question is from Mir Kim. Um, he asked, could you share how university lecturer should do to effectively inspire and increase the student commitment and engagement toward online learning during this pandemic?
Lovely questions. Make it fun. We all are eager. We all are human beings. We really want to learn. We really want to explore new knowledge and new worlds. And as a kid, we learn it when we enjoy it. Celebrate a weekly birthday, with your students, with cheers a colleague made some success in uh, that must be in place. They must feel. They must. There are out there are listening to them. They must feel that my being treated and they assess teacher comments or questions. They are or systems university that and if you're doing I'm sure Gina very open to you. I'm sure Gina's I
well
hello, I'm back.
yes
Sorry, I
welcome
got
back
cut off.
Yeah,
I don't know where
welcome
I
back.
was. Well, I think I wanted to just finish my idea, if you don't mind. I think we can still have fun where we are doing an online class or online lectures. The type of fun that we used to have in our class, birthday song, telling a wonderful stories, cheering for one another, laughing and comforting one another. This isn't limited to in-class environment. We can do it in an online class as well. In fact, I just had several birthdays and events last week with my friends from in the United States, in Hawaii, in California, in Cambodia. We just celebrating somebody delivered their baby just a month ago when we were during in the middle of pandemic. We were having fun and people came when we were having fun. And I think the same way with our learning and opportunity, the only way we can learn better is that we enjoy and we have fun. And I think this is something you will not miss it with Genius or with any other teachers. We always fun. We can stay on that together, and I think as a student, we can play a role to make environment more fun, more respectful for one another. If you know your peer is having a birthday, I like to pause for 5 minutes thinking a birthday song to my peers. I don't think anybody would object that. It would say, okay, let's do it. Happy birthday song. We can do it together. 5 minutes is small, but would mean a lot to our friends and our students. So make sure we stay respectful and have fun. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Wong, for sharing. It is like the importance of having fun, right? In addition to, imparting the knowledge, the teacher should also has some fun activities to share with the students as well, so that the atmosphere will be lifted up. I think that is a great answer. Thank you, Wong. And I hope it answers Mia Kim's question as well. Thank you for your question. So this question is from, I'm sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly. Joao, right? Baptista Pereira Gutierrez. So his question is, how do you handle two classes in the same day and hour with online learning? Because sometimes some teacher want to make up class to finish the class module. And could you share with us your experience, because maybe you have experienced this as well?
Okay, the question, how do we handle two online classes at the same time?
Yeah.
I have to be honest, I have not provided online classes, but I provided some counselings or virtual meeting or conferences at the same time. I know this is very difficult. I've done it, but I would not encourage us to do two classes at the same time. It's very, very difficult. I've gone through that, but I think two classes, you would have to require, at least for your own convenience, two different laptops. Really, that's what I did in the past. Two laptops and two different channels. And each channel, you have to have different symbol and logo, because otherwise you can get confused so easily. But I would not encourage you to do that. But since you ask, how do we handle that? Two laptops, two different channels, and make sure when you speak to one channel, another one is muted, your microphone. When you speak to another one is muted. Another laptop is muted, so that you don't have the voice cross over to another channel. But this is not very healthy at all. If you are facilitating two conferences, or if you are attending two conferences at the same time, it's not healthy, believe me. But if you have no choice, you have to attend to, because your friends waiting for you, do it with two laptops, all right? And ask for permission if you can record it, so that if you miss anything, you can get the recorded questions and look at it after it's offline. But it's not a very healthy. I done it twice. It's not the best, and I would not be willing to do it again. Thank you.
Thank you, Wong, for your answer. I also believe that that is not healthy as well. For one thing, you can get easily distracted. You cannot just focus on two things at the same time. This is very bad for your health, for your cognitive health. And thank you, Joao Baptista, for your question. That is also a good question, because we all have experienced it at some point in our life. So on to the next question. This one is from Tassisio. So Tassisio wants to ask you, what is your expectation for those who has just experienced studying and working from home during this unprecedented time?
Well, Thank you. My expectation is that we or you continue to go on into our career or into our academic life plan. Right, during this COVID-19, a lot of economic damage to our country, to our livelihoods. It's the best you can do is to continue on the path that you set, whether continue working from home, continue to be as productive as possible for your employer, or as productive as possible for your teachers and for your classes and for your parents. My expectations and same expectations from my colleagues and from somebody I knew is to keep going on, whether working from home or taking online classes, continue to make productive participation in those areas, and do not feel like this pandemic has actually ruined our life. Of course, I can acknowledge that a lot of our friends and a lot of people, their livelihoods have been damaged, and I must say it's very hard, very difficult to recover it. But if you are in the path of going forward, whether in your classes or whether in your academic or in your work, please continue, be the most productive as possible, because in this time of economic or in this time of pandemic crisis, we need you more than ever before. So make that commitment to hand your help, to hand your hands to one another, and to be productive as possible for your colleagues, for your teachers, for your employers, for your parents, for your partners, is the best key commitment that you can give as an individual to whoever that you, whoever's around you, whether your parents, whether your peers, whether your teachers. Please continue as normal, and if you have difficulties, if you face challenges that require more emotional and other psychological support, make sure you talk to somebody that you trust. This is important, right? Do not keep in yourself. Make sure you talk to somebody that you trust, somebody that you think will listen to you. This is going to be important for your overall health and well-being. That will give you a stronger and healthier foundation for you to even go further into your own journey. So keep it up and don't give up, please.
Well, thank you so much, Bon, for the answer. I believe that this time is the time that we need to be to keep our hope up and to be able to support one another in this difficult time. So I think we have our last questions from Jufina Santos. Could you give some alternatives way how to deal with the distractions during the online class?
Lovely questions. I experienced a lot of distractions when I attended online meeting or online conference or online lectures. One of these right now, distraction here. It's clearly one of the biggest distractions is you have your son or your loved one come over and hop on your hip and say, "Come on, what you're doing?" Okay, that is another distraction. But this is a healthy distraction, by the way. We should encourage our loved ones and our kids to come over and experience our online classes or online lecture. This is fine. But another unhealthy is to be disturbed by Netflix, be disturbed by YouTube, be disturbed by other media platforms that are not healthy for your online classes right now, because you may have a time limit for you to complete your online class or your lecture or your assignment. Set those Netflix, set those online movie or YouTube aside. Make your classes and your paper a top priority first, and when you finish, then you can reward yourself with those Netflix movies or YouTube or any Facebook or social medias. Opportunity is scarce. time is scarce and you have opportunity that's given to you for your paper, for your classes, maximize it, take them with pride, take them with ownership. And if you get a ring from your phone, a ring from your Facebook, ignore them for a moment or set them aside, focus your own studies. And then afterward, you can hang around with your cup of tea or coffee or your YouTube or whatever channel you go on. But the goal and obligation as a student or as a learner is to stay focused on a commitment that we made. The commitment that we enroll ourselves in the classes, that is the commitment that should carry on throughout all the way until your graduation.
Well, thank you so much, Wong, for an inspirational answer. So, first of all, we have to appreciate our work, and we have to um, keep our work as a top priority and set other distractions aside first, because it is what will take us to our goal, right? I think that is really great, and thank you, Jufina, for your question as well. So, since there are no more questions from the audiences, I believe that we can conclude our Q&A session here. So I would like to say thank you so much for your time, for spending time with us, answering the questions. And I myself and the audience, I believe that we have all learned something from you, and we have all been inspired by you as well. So I must say that I'm really grateful for a chance to talk to you and interview you. And Ken, do you have anything to add?
Yes, also for our audience, thank you so much for your question and your time for joining our section today. I believe this is a very fruitful discussion. We hear a lot of inspiring and motivational story from our guest speaker today. And I believe that is really great for this section. And moreover, I would like to thank also to our team, including our Gina and also to Bong Kim Heng for carrying out this whole process together. It's difficult as we know that we're doing the online section, but to be able to make it this far, I believe it is a great work. So I would like to thank everyone for that.
So that comes to the end of our online session. Again, I would like to say thank you all for joining with us. So, and thank you our audience as well. So have a nice dinner, and I would like to say good night to you all. Thank you.
Thank you guys. It was a
Thank
great
you.
pleasure. All the best and take care and stay healthy. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.